Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me on today's next video. Let me just say that again. Hold on. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Ivy Marie Lim, Peak Performance Coach. And in today's video interview, I have with me one of my favorite unsung solo mompreneurs, Johanna Nichola. And she's going to tell us about her story on how she ventured and left her cushy 9-to-5 job with 3 kids under 7 on her own and is still, and that was back in 2014. And ever since then, she's been thriving and continuing to grow her business and help 6 and 7 entrepreneurs grow their business primarily online. And this is the time to do it. If you haven't already started an online business, or you're thinking of creating an online business, or don't even just contemplating it at all, this is the person that you need to listen to because her story is amazing. And she's one of the most humblest, sweetest, and hardworking people that I know. Hi, Joanna. Thank you for coming here today.
Hi, Ivy. That was a very nice introduction. Thank you so much. Very kind.
And so, yeah, let's start from the beginning. As I mentioned, you left your cushiony job, and I remember from myself, because I haven't worked for anyone since about 2007. And I mean, my job was soul sucking. It I mean, it was, I can't even say it was cushiony because I was always doing IT sales. So it was fast paced, it was competitive. When the going was good, it was good. But I went to bed every night and I was like, there's got to be something. I can't do this for the rest of my life. There's got to be something else. So, what was the turning point for you? Where were you in your job in that time? And how did you get the courage to finally go on your own completely with 3 children, 3 boys at that, and doing it all on your own?
Yeah, so it was quite a journey. I was working in downtown Toronto in the financial district. I had a really great job. I learned a lot, fast paced. It was good. I was young and I was working long hours, and I actually enjoyed it. I really did. And I worked with good people. But I just knew I couldn't see myself like in 10 years. Like, am I going to be working my way up? Am I going to become a partner? Do I see that future? And no, it just wasn't me. I had more of a creative spark in me, a little bit more adventurous. And I always knew that I wanted to do something of my own. Even when I remember when I was in university, I always had these ideas of, what if we sold this or made these kits or did this? So I always had that burning desire of figuring it out and doing something that was, creative and entrepreneurial. And I was interested in photography and I was taking photography courses. And I just always had that feeling, like I never really had a plan, but I just remember this one day that I declared it to one of my colleagues. We were just walking outside and I was like, you know what, I am going to be a professional photographer. And they're like, that sounds great. So I started to take my photography seriously, and it didn't take long. And I was shooting portraits and weddings on weekends while working at this job. And then I decided, after I had my second child, like I can't obviously sustain both. I really got to think about making a switch. So as I was building that part-time gig, I was trying to turn it into a full-time income. So I had all these bookings set up for the next year. And then I was brave enough and able to actually just put a resignation in. Everyone thought I was absolutely crazy. But I really just was an adventurous spirit, had a bit of planning, had some ideas, knew that I was all in and I had no choice. And that's sort of when the online world was coming and people were starting to get their businesses online. This is in the early 2000s, just before 2000, 13, 14. And I was reaching more people online. It was a different time online. You could just post, and people would see you because it wasn't as busy.
Yeah, you just had to be there to get to.
So I loved that whole aspect of taking my skills, figuring out how to push my business online. And that's what I did. And then when I did that, I realized I can help other people do the same thing too.
And you've never looked back since. So your business now has evolved from you no longer, let's talk about the wedding business just a
Sure.
short time, because there may be someone out there who is in that vertical.
Yeah.
Did that work
Yeah.
for you? And then, yeah, making the switch to just helping other people with their online businesses.
Yeah. So I actually did the weddings on the weekends. It was called the Weekend Warrior. People called you for 10 years from 2014 to 2004 to 2014. And then I decided, like, I was just burnt out. Like, wedding photography is not for the, for the easy, like it's tough. You're on your feet, long hours, lots of different personalities to deal with. It can get very draining. So I just, that's when I thought, how can I do this wedding thing kind of online? So as I was teaching other people how to set up their businesses, that's when I started a wedding and event online blog and magazine. And I was helping promote other vendors. So I was working with caterers and venues, dressmakers, shoes, all kinds of decor, everything. So I was building this community. And it was great. And it took off really, really fast. So everything, I had to learn how to do the website and how to create the directory and how to do the sales calls and how to build the community, how to create the content, do the editorial, bring people on to do blogs, images. Like, it was just so much. And you're just learning and building. And I loved that part, and I actually acquired a business called the Business of Weddings. So that was like a conference. So it was teaching and coaching. So I decided to sort of shift out of strictly just weddings into small businesses and really embracing, how to, have an idea and just like go for it and learn all this stuff online. But at the time, like, there wasn't as much information as there is now. And it's almost kind of like, there's almost too much information, where if you're searching, it's really, really confusing. And you can start doing all these different strategies. You're going to get different advice from different people. So I think it's almost too much information can stop you. So I believe that I have a good way of, looking at the person as a business owner or potential business owner, looking at their skill set, looking at their time, looking at the market, and not only helping them become the person they need to be to run that business, but statistically and with numbers, really be realistic on what that's going to look like. So I bring those two things together now.
So I think too, and I think this is just from, my few years now being in the online business world and in the business coaching world. I mean, you do get kind of suckered into all this. And this is the problem with internet in general, and especially the world of Instagram. And you get sucked into this instantaneous like success. Oh, I make millions of dollars online, and it appears to be an overnight success, but you and I both know that it is not an overnight success. It's unfortunate though that some people, they're selling the big dream,
Yeah.
and it is a dream. I mean, it is so nice to not have to work for anyone else, but there's so much
Sure.
more involved. So let's get into the obstacles and the real world struggles that you take. Number one, as being an entrepreneur on your own, and number two, doing it on an online platform. And why wouldn't you not have an online business? I think it's crazy that
100%.
no one, that you're not, if you're not doing something online, then why should you do something online?
Yeah, well, just remember 2 years ago, just before the pandemic, I remember still having calls with people and telling them the importance of putting their things online, right? So it wasn't even that long ago where we were still like convincing people that no, you really need to get your business online. You can really scale. You can really reach more people. You can, just expand, right? Now you don't, it's not if you're online, it's like, how well are you doing it online? And I think that's the difference. If you're not running something online, you're definitely going to get left behind. You're going to miss opportunities. There's still a lot of opportunities for people to be able to, bring out their expertise and teach. I think simplicity is the key, and really just giving it a go. Like, what's your idea? Let's look at that. Let's talk about that. How can you make extra money? How can you make more impact? how can you really embrace a bit of freedom? Because what it's done for me, I had 3 small kids, going in at 9 to 5, driving, having to ask for time off if someone needed to be picked up from school, asking if could go to the dentist. Like it just drove me nuts. And not only that, um, just even though I did work with a really good group of people in the beginning, by the end, it wasn't really that way. So it wasn't even fun. It was just torture. Like I was exhausted. So how can I open up my schedule and have a little bit of freedom and time? And don't get me wrong, it wasn't super easy where I just resigned and then was super successful. There was a lot of bumps in the beginning for sure. And I know I had to take contracts with companies and do little small gigs on top of that as well to keep things going. I'm not going to hide that. That's like, so selling that dream, the potential 100% is there. It's the strategy. And I think just getting committed to actually doing it. And the people that are most successful doesn't mean they're more talented, doesn't mean they're more anything. They're consistent and they're committed and they're clear. And that's where you want to get that momentum going.
So what other obstacles do you find on launching and becoming, especially as a woman entrepreneur with and I know you've been really good with time management and managing your family life as well as having your kids. So what are the other mindset barriers? I don't think people realize
Yeah.
how much of a personal development journey it is as well.
Oh, definitely. You know, when you run a business and it starts to bring out parts of you that you never thought you would have to really see or deal with. And that could just be doing sales calls or networking or all these things. You're like, I don't want to do these things, but it's bringing out pieces of you to, work on yourself to be able to turn into that person that you need to become in order to be successful, your version of successful, right? I'm not saying everyone has to go out and do 6 and 7 figures, but what's your version of success? Like, what's that value, right? Could be the freedom of time, extra money, financial stability, and then take it to the moon if you want to, right? But definitely it's those parts of you that you really do need to pay attention to, because that can really help you grow your business. And I don't think you can really have one successful one without the other. So it's really intertwined. And
Yeah,
then the time, yeah, sorry.
having the strategy and the mindset and
Yeah,
the support and that willingness to grow and look at those parts of yourself that
totally,
like,
totally. Yeah,
but at the same time, even though, I mean, a lot of people say, I want to go online, but I hate social media. Like you and I
yeah,
secretly hate social media. I've
yeah.
managed my relationship with it, but I'm still, but
Yep.
yeah, do you need to put, how much of yourself do you really require to put yourself out there?
Well, you do have to show up for your business, right? So that doesn't mean you have to be all over social media. Personally, I used to do a ton of it in the beginning, but honestly, from a business perspective right now, I do very, very little. And just the model that I have is really highly on personal referrals and referrals through my network. So that works for me right now. And I've been able to grow and scale at that sense. Now, if I was wanting to reach, if I had a product, which I've had in the past, where I want to talk to many people at once, social media presence does need to be there. But I honestly think you don't have to feel like you have to always show yourself either. There's other ways, right? There's other ways. You can even have a team or like hire someone to be on social media. You can do things like you can do presentations or audio. You do whatever works for you, right? So as you get more comfortable, right? You don't have to be on video all the time. There's other ways of reaching people through written word, through audio, through visuals, through educating. But yeah, sometimes you do kind of have to push yourself depending on your goal. But you
Yeah,
don't
it
have
all
to.
does work. Like you said in the beginning,
Mhm.
like it just takes consistency.
Yeah,
And the beauty of it is that there are a multitude of ways
exactly.
to grow online, not necessarily social media, although it is a great platform for the ones that, desire to be, who have that um, capability. But even still, there's some parts of yourself that you have to step out of your comfort zone. But that is with being an entrepreneur in general.
Yeah,
And
it
that's
is.
like, yeah, so I think it's so key having both the strategy, because it can be confusing and overwhelming. And like you said, the simple steps, and then just being consistent.
Exactly. And if you want to talk about numbers on social media, for example, we always used to focus on numbers and followers and this and that. But if you're one or, a small team, one person or two or three, four or five people, you can't serve a million people, right? Unless you're doing, huge group and you're spending lots on ads. But in the beginning, you don't have to have huge numbers, right? You can serve 10, 20, you can have 1,000 really solid, good, targeted people that want to hear from you. And it's not a huge number. And you can have a very, very successful business with those kind of numbers. So it doesn't have to be these big, inflated, overwhelming, numbers on social media, right?
Yeah, when you put it that way, it's actually not that scary.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right. And
Mhm.
the biggest thing is having the freedom to, because you've been on your own now and you've never looked back since 2014 with your kids, and you've thrived since then, which I think is it's so, and you're not one of those people that, go on and flash themselves or brag about all their big accomplishments, even though you do have it, but you've managed to be successful in keeping with your own alignment and your own personality at the same, and your own privacy at the same time.
Mhm.
Right. And I think that's something that people who are thinking about doing an online business struggle with too, that I don't want to have to do that. But you don't have to. And I'm glad that you are a living example of that right here. So yeah, do you want to tell people what we're up to? I did say we're up to. And
Sure.
you can find you or us.
Yeah, so as obviously Ivy, we're partnering together, and we're going to put out for the first time in a group setting, show you and anyone who's interested in starting a business or scaling their current business, the tools that have driven 6 and 7 figures in revenue online, step by step, mapped out for you to succeed. And I'm really excited because I love teaching this. And I know that integrity is big on my list, and I don't like to fluff, but I love to help and I love to see the success. And I think with the right tools, the right experience, and proven track records, we don't miss a beat. Between me and you, we've worked together a lot. I know that this program is going to be an absolute winner. And if you're going to join it, you're going to be a transformational story of this program. So if you've ever had the thought of starting a business or learning about trying to do a business online, I strongly suggest you listen up.
Yeah, great. No, I'm excited, and I'm really glad I got this chance to introduce you and to really honor you and thank you for all the help that you've given me and are continue to give me, and the support and the guidance that you've given me in my business over the last year. And also to really show everyone like that you are a shining star, and you're so humble, you're so quiet about it, and you've been behind the scenes from behind, you've been the wizard behind the curtain of multiple big businesses. And yeah, and you're just so quiet about it and so humble about it. And that's why it's a joy to have you in my life. So thank you, Joanna, for being here.
Thank
And
you.
I'll put the post up where to find us later on. I'll see you
That's
soon.
great. Thank you. Thanks, Ivy.
Bye.
Bye.